Okay. All right. So welcome to today's Eagle's Nest call. And my name's Scott Grimm. If there's anybody new on the call here today that I haven't met yet, welcome to the call. So glad to have you here with us today at farmhome.org. As I was just talking with Robert, and I'm going to go ahead and mute you all. We're going to, after the webinar here, we're going to open things up, and I really want to encourage all of you to participate today, because I want to answer questions that you might have today and try and help you as much as I possibly can in doing so. But anyway, what we're going to do today is, once we go through this short webinar that I've got for you, we'll open things up and we'll have a question and answer time where I'm going to try and help you specifically with any of the marketing questions or any issues that you might be having that you might need some help with. So we'll do that, and we are recording this call. I like to record all of these calls, so just so everyone knows that as well. But certainly want you to participate, and I want to be here to help you as much as I possibly can. So I'm still letting a number of people in the call on the call here. So we'll get started in just a second. And again, today we're really going to be focusing on the steps to becoming a digital marketing specialist. I want to kind of give you a heads up that today's I'm going to call it lesson that I have for you is going to take us back to the beginning, because I think that's important. For all of us to understand. I know as a coach, repetition is critical to our really understanding, what we're involved in or what we're getting involved in or where we are in a process or how to become, better. Obviously, success is a progression of, a great ideal. It's a process, so that's what we're talking about right now, is becoming a digital marketing specialist. And we're going to go back to kind of the beginning so that we understand really what marketing is. I shared last night, we're going to go ahead and get started right now. I shared last night that with marketing, there's nothing new under the sun, and there isn't. The only thing that's new right now, and it always is ongoing as far as new, is the message or the method of delivery. So while the message is still the same and the methods are still the same of marketing, the way it's being delivered to our audience is what's different, and that's what is leading us to this digital economy that we find ourselves in today, and some of the challenges that we're going to have with that. So I want to get right into it. So again, what are the steps of becoming a digital marketing specialist? Well, let's get the big picture first. I want to start at the beginning so that we understand just what it is to become a specialist or expert at anything. It requires that we count the cost, and excuse me, counting the cost is really important, because I want to make sure that we are doing this right. I want to make sure that everyone that joins fundmyhome.org and wants to become a digital marketing specialist understands really what that means, what's all involved with it. At the same time, I want you to understand that there are certainly different levels, and we're going to talk about that, different levels of commitment that are going to be, that may be required of you. And I guess that is really just an opportunity. It's going to allow you to go as far as you want with learning how to become a digital marketing specialist or an expert in digital marketing. I know that can be a daunting, question to a lot of us, but let's back up a minute and look at the big picture. What does it take to become a specialist or an expert at anything? So one thing that it requires is thought. We need to, even in counting the cost, we need to think this through. Okay, how far do I want to go with this digital marketing, concept, and how much of an expert do I want to become at this? How can I go about achieving the different goals that I might have. It really takes thought and deep thought, and that's important. And we've got to invest our thoughts towards this enterprise that we're involved in. The second thing that we have to invest in, as in any ideal of becoming an expert, is our time. We've got to invest time, and I appreciate everyone that's on the call here today. You are investing time in your opportunity that will bring about a return on your investment. But again, it takes time. Now, we'll talk more about some of the time requirements that are going to be necessary if you want to become an expert, not only throughout your week and in your days and your months, but throughout your years and even the rest of your life. We'll talk some about that, but that's definitely a requirement. The treasure, you're going to have to spend a few dollars, if you're going to become an expert at anything. And we'll talk about that. The talent, you're going to have to invest your talent. So either you're going to have to maybe acquire new skills and talents, or really apply this talent that you already have, or even bring in some talent around you, depending how far you want to go as a digital marketing specialist. And I think some of us are just going to be so blessed and so, we're going to create a wealth, we're going to create prosperity, we're going to create, a lot of treasure for us, and therefore, as we grow as an entity, we're going to need to surround ourselves with talent. I'm already doing that myself, so we'll talk more about that in a bit. It's going to take commitment on your part and my part if we're going to become experts at anything. It takes a lot of commitment, and it takes discipline. Discipline is probably one of the most critical elements of success as I continue to mature and grow as a human being, let alone a father, let alone a grandfather, let alone a business owner or an executive. So discipline is probably the most important element. And then we're going to need to count the cost of humility. And A.B.S. is always being a student, and it's a mindset that we have to recognize and realize that we don't know everything, and that we have not arrived. And the better and more humble we are, and the more willing we are to be students, the more opportunity that's going to open for us to grow and to be blessed. And then innovation and creativity. It's very important that we count the costs, that we have to be innovative and creative as we look at the big picture of everything that we're doing here, and the ideals that we're trying to achieve, that we understand that we have to be innovative and we have to use our creativity that God has given us if we're going to be successful in becoming a specialist at anything. Okay, so that's very important. So again, like I said, we're going to be backing up a little bit here, because it's important that we count the cost and that we understand just what it is that we're getting into. Now, I want to be honest with you, as a corporate member, as a executive vice president at FOMOhome.org, obviously I'm involved in many of the decisions that are being made for us moving forward. And I had a concern. It wasn't a great concern necessarily at the time, that we were discussing moving away from the quote unquote grant specialist and even changing our title to a digital marketing specialist. And I had some reservations about that. What were my reservations? I was kind of concerned because, the average age of our associates is up there. I'm 60, and I know many of you that are on this call right now are around my age. So that was a little bit of a concern to me. For those of us that are, at that age, there are some concerns, with that, and rightly so. And I was a little concerned about that when Carlos and myself and Ken and Miss Beach and others on the corporate level were discussing, this move from a grant specialist to a digital marketing specialist. I was concerned about the physical challenges that those of us that are getting up there in age have, that when it comes to digital marketing. So those are definitely some legitimate concerns. I was concerned about the extent of the learning curve that's involved in all of this. And rightly so. Anything to do with technology, as you well know, and I well know, requires a learning curve, a time period, and it requires due diligence to learn the skills and to learn the software and to learn the use of the different social media sites and things like that. There's a big learning curve to all that. That was a concern to me. The fear of the unknown. Again, oh boy, I'm up there in age, and now I'm gonna, get into something, that I have never done before, and it could be a daunting task. So I've got, maybe some fears or some, discrepancies in my mind, to deal with, to get over that. The lack of knowledge and the skills necessary for us to succeed. See, again, I want to do this right. I want you to be successful. That's the most important thing when it comes to me, is I want to help you spiritually, physically, and financially. My calling, my why, my purpose is to help other people spiritually, physically, and financially restore that which has been lost or stolen. So, we can talk about that some other time, but, I want you to be successful. So, but the reality is, we may lack some of the skills necessary and certainly the knowledge necessary to be able to be successful. And those were concerns of mine when we talked on a corporate level about this transition from grant specialist, quote unquote, to a digital marketing specialist. So those are just to name a few of the things, and I'm laughing, because I'm saying, at our age, these are some challenges that we have to accept, that we've got to count the cost if we're going to move forward. So out of the 5,000 associates, though, this came to me. Out of the 5,000 associates that have already joined fundmyhome.org, there's really only a handful that have ever become, grant specialists, that have become specialists in that particular area of expertise, that they really, and I can name them, I already know them, really a handful of them, 5, 6, 7 people in our entire organization that have seriously become specialists, grant specialists in what they're doing. So that when that came to me, it was a good thing, because it gave me peace. It gave me, more clarity that this was certainly the right decision that we were making, because what dawned on me was what we call the 95 to 5% rule. And, let's be honest, in reality, give me a second here. My slide clicker's not working here. Oh, there we go. In reality, like Thomas Edison says, well, first of all, why is it, ask ourselves this question, why is it that 5% of the people control 95% of the world's wealth? Well, here's Thomas Edison, 5% of the people, let me let someone in to call here, 5% of the people think, that's true, 5% of the people think, 10% of the people think they think, and the other 85% would rather die than think. I mean, we got to be honest. And that's so true. That's why 5% of the people control 95% of the world's wealth. And because that 95 to 5% rule has always been in effect, and it always will be in effect. And that's what kind of gave me peace, that, when it comes to being a specialist, whether it's a grant specialist, whether it's a digital marketing specialist, whether it's a communication specialist, whether it's a construction specialist, whether it's a builder, whatever the case might be, if you're going to become a specialist at it, at your craft or your skill, really only 5% of the people in the world are willing to put in the necessary work to become a specialist, to become an expert in their field. That's just reality. But you know what? That's whom I'm meant to serve as a coach. And you're on this call today, and I trust and believe that you're part of that 5%, or at least before this call is over today, you're going to count the cost of that, and maybe you'll leave the call. Maybe you'll not want to go down this road. Maybe you're not interested in becoming a digital marketing specialist. That doesn't mean there's not room for you, hope for you, opportunity for you at fundmyhome.org, but maybe you're not wanting to become a digital marketing specialist. And if you're not, that's okay. I understand that. We understand the requirements of becoming a specialist in anything. And we're just being honest with you and very transparent. What's the definition of a specialist? A person who concentrates primarily on a particular subject or activity. And here comes Orlando finally. Anyway, a person who concentrates primarily on a particular subject or activity, a person highly skilled in a specific and restricted field. And what are we talking about here? We're talking about, digital marketing. So we've got to think our way through this. We have to think about what it is that we're actually embarking on, with that ideal is of becoming a specialist in anything, and now in particular in becoming a digital marketing specialist. So we've got to ask ourselves some questions. Am I willing to invest the thought, the time, the treasure, the talent, the commitment, the discipline, the humility with being a student mindset that I have to have, and I'm willing to be innovative and use my creativity in order to be successful and become a digital marketing specialist? That's what we're talking about here today. So again, I want you to know exactly what it is that you are getting into. Now, having said that, I also want you to know that this is probably the greatest financial opportunity time period to live in the history of humanity. It really is, because it's the only and first time in 6,000 years of the human race that we've got record of or understanding of, where any person anywhere in the world that has an internet connection can reach an audience anywhere in the world that has an internet connection. So just think about that. The opportunities that abound in this digital marketing economy that you and I are in today is unparalleled. It's unmatched in history. There's never been a time for the opportunity of success like what's laid out in front of you right now. Okay, so it's an exciting time for you and I to be in right now. But if you're going to become a specialist, if you're going to become an expert, I don't care what age you are, you've got to ask yourself that question. Have you counted the cost? Are you willing to give what's necessary, okay, of your time, your talent, your treasure, your commitment, your discipline, your humility, your innovation? Are you willing to give up those things in order to receive a great return on your investment? Because that's the challenge that you and I face here today with our opportunity to become digital marketing specialists. And if your answer is yes, then I believe you're in the right place right now. Congratulations. Welcome to the call. That's my opening today. Welcome to today's webinar. And let's begin. With that, again, I'm interested in stirring up the nest and getting you eagles out there flying in success. And again, that's a progressive, method. It's a system, so to speak, of progression towards an ideal. And the ideal is for you to become a digital marketing specialist and reap all the benefits of that. So I want to stir you up. Hopefully today we'll do that with our Eagle's Nest teaching. So step one is, getting the big picture. Now that you have the big picture, you've already, in my understanding, you've already achieved the first step. You're still on the call. You haven't left yet. Okay. So becoming an expert overnight just isn't going to happen, and that's reality. So, you're going to have to put a lot of work and dedication to becoming an expert in anything. In his book, Outliers, Malcolm Gladwell says that it takes about 10,000 hours of practice to achieve mastery in any particular field. While you may not have to devote that much time to become an expert, depending on the subject you select and depending on your background and your education and what skills you might already have in that particular field. Once you decide to become an expert, however, okay, you are looking at hundreds to perhaps thousands of hours of some or all of the following things that we need to consider. Number one, it's studying, reading books, online courses, watching videos, attending seminars, training programs, and learning from other experts within the field. Personally, I believe, and you're going to see on all of my coaching calls, again, I want to make fishermen. I don't want to give you a fish. I want to teach you how to fish. Okay. So, personal development, in my opinion, is absolutely the most important element of success. Without a continuous, process of improvement in our person, in our humanity, in our who we are as a human being, and what we were created to come here and do. Without the always being a student mentality, okay, we're not going to be near as successful as we could be. We all use about 6 to 10% of our brain. Just think how powerful and how blessed we could be, and how much dominion we could have if we use more of our brain. So when it comes to, brain power, we got to learn. We've got to, the only way we're going to learn is showing up and digging and grinding and reading and studying and listening. And we got a lot of ways to do that now. If you're like me, and I've got, I'm sitting here, I got lights on right now. I've got a big 55-inch screen in front of me right now. Cameras rolling, and it gets to my eyes after a while. Okay. So, part of my creativity and innovation thought process that I use in my personal development time is listening. I've got, audio messages that I listen to now. So I do a lot more listening than I do watching, videos and things like that. So, you got to do what you got to do, but you've got to spend a lot of time, in this area. Number one. Number two is practicing. You're actually doing what you are learning. For example, in ad design, you can apply what you've learned by creating an ad on your own. So, part of digital marketing is, learning how to place these ads and, learning how to be effective with creating an ad and things like that. Now, you're probably thinking, oh boy, I don't know anything about that. Don't be afraid of that, because we're doing a lot of that for you. All right. But just as an example, the best way to learn is by doing. You've got to practice it. And that's how you learn. By practicing what you learn, you're going to go much deeper into what it takes to be an expert in that field. Working out the kinks, investigating and solving problems that are not covered through study, without study and instruction alone. So, you've got to get out there and practice. Now, you want to, practice doesn't make perfect. We all know that by now in my life, at least at my age, I know that. But good practice, makes perfect. It's got to be good what you're practicing. If it's bad and you're practicing it, man, you're just setting yourself up for disaster. So we want to practice those things that are good. Again, that's why I'm backing up on this and getting you to understand just what it is that we're getting into here in this digital marketing arena that we find ourselves in. And number three is in the area of presenting. Okay, so if we're going to be, successful at becoming an expert, the best way to do that, and I'm doing this. I'm just going to show you. I've got this little. It's just cheap. I paid a couple bucks for it. This notebook. I used to use a Franklin day planner. I'm probably going to get back to it again because I journaled in there. So I'm journaling now, and I'm so blessed that the Lord's led me back to that discipline of journaling. It's so important. But we got to find ways to document our success, to document our journey, if you will. So you want to create a blog or a journal of the steps you're taking to understand the many facets of your newfound expertise. Write or speak at a conference about the trials and resolutions that so that others can learn from you. When you're writing this stuff down, now you've got a record of it that you can go back and use, or that you can share with others to start teaching them. Teach what you have learned to others, and that's what's going to really help you build your organization. And again, I'm looking to raise up eagle leaders, lion leaders that want to go out and create generational wealth. Okay, that's really what I'm interested in doing here. I'm going to check a chat here. Scott, I may have to join. Appreciate it. Okay, please call me. I have a realtor, lender background. Now I'm a digital marketer. Awesome. Okay, Pedro, I got your message. I will do that. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. So anyway, so that's what we're talking about here. Those three things. You've got to continue to learn. We've got to practice, and we've got to keep record of and be able to share what we've learned with others. That's so key. You're going to hear more about that in a minute. So again, very crucial to our success. So why did I choose to start with the big picture first? Was it to rain on your parade? No, it wasn't to rain on your parade at all. Because the reason is it's a process. And, it's a step-by-step process to success. And I just want you to know, as a coach, that I realize that. And I want to make sure that we're going slow enough. I don't want to be rushing people along. I don't want you to be afraid of anything. I realize it's a process. And you know what? Here's why. Because it's a process that I'm going through myself. All right. So I'm just being totally transparent with you. I am going through the process of transformation to become a digital marketing expert. That's what I'm, that's what I'm focused on doing. Okay. So, that's what this is all about. And I'm just being very transparent with you, that I understand it's a process. Okay. So you're still here. That's good. We lost two, but hey, people have things to do. I get it, but you're still here. You haven't left yet. That's great. Congratulations. Again, you've completed the first step. We've gone through that first step, and now it's time to take the next step. So the next step is, we're going to go back to the beginning. We're going to go back to the beginning of marketing, because if we're going to become a digital marketing expert or a digital marketing specialist, we've got to understand, marketing, what it is and what it isn't. And then we can look at some experts that have, gone before us that we could learn from before we could make that transition into the method of delivery that we're talking about, and that's the digital space. So I want to go back to the beginning. I want to go to the genesis of marketing. In the beginning, God. And I just, as I was thinking, who is probably the greatest marketer of all time? Who is it, that has, surpassed everybody else in marketing? The person that came to my mind was Jesus Christ. So I'm going to go clear back to the beginning, and we're going to look at just what an incredible marketer that Jesus was, and why I chose Jesus as the example that we want to learn from when it comes to marketing. Again, back to the beginning, and by the way, there's nothing new under the sun. So, I said this last night on our opportunity call, there really is nothing new under the sun. Marketing has been around since the beginning, but the technology that's here today of delivery is what's changed. Okay, that's why it's important that we understand what marketing is and what it isn't. So let's learn from the best. What did he do that made his message so successful that his message is still being heard and followed today? I mean, think about that. What an incredible marketer Jesus was. So I'm calling this the sales funnel of Jesus Christ. What did he do that made him so successful that his message is still impacting and changing lives even here today? I just hit my microphone. So number one, he caused a stir wherever he went. I mean, think about that. We talked about this last week or the week before last when we talked about the marketing funnel. We talked about the EASY acronym. We're going to talk about that again here in a minute. But everywhere Jesus went, he stirred things up. He caused commotion. He caused a ruckus. And in doing so, he's very intentional in doing that. He got people's attention. He taught them in the synagogues at the age of 12. People were mesmerized by that. I mean, this guy dedicated his life to the Word. Well, he was the Word. In the beginning was the Word. The Word was with God, and the Word was God. We know that, but he dedicated his life to this cause. He performed miracles everywhere he went. He healed the sick. He made the lame walk, the blind see. He even claimed that he was in fact God. He inspired and gave people hope. He reached the masses with his message. But the thing that we want to walk away from this when it comes to marketing, especially digital marketing, is that he stirred things up. He got people's attention. And if we're going to be successful in digital marketing, we've got to realize that the first step in marketing is to get people's attention. Now, you and I told you this early on, we are in an opportunity time zone like none other in the history of humankind. Okay, so you and I can stir things up. You can do a video. You can do your photo, your video can attract thousands or even millions of people can click and watch your video. Think about that. If you come up with some off the wall thing that gets people's attention, you could reach thousands of people with that. There's never been a time in history that we've been able to do that. And you could do that from home. Just think about that opportunity. But Jesus was a master at this. Everywhere he went, he stirred things up. Number two, he generated a large following. So what an incredible marketer he was. He stirred things up everywhere he went. He became very famous or well-known because he stirred things up. And another thing that he did is he traveled from place to place. He never stayed still. He was always on the move. And that's the beauty that you and I find ourselves in here today with digital marketing, is we can always be on the move. We can market ourselves from anywhere in the world to any specific location that we want if we know how to do that. Okay, so that's incredible, and that's what Jesus did. He traveled from place to place. There's an intentional reason that he did that. He consistently preached and taught. He didn't stop sharing his message over and over again, day after day. Why? Because he understood the rule, the 95-5 rule, okay? He knew that he had to reach the masses and continue to share his message over and over and over again. And you and I, that ratio equation that we talked about last week, or the week before last, again, the same thing applies to us here today. That's why we don't stop. That's why I don't quit. We keep being faithful to it. We share the message over and over again. And if it's a good message, it'll fall on good seed. Remember the parable of the sower. So that's the reason that Jesus continued to do that. He had a great message and he impacted lives everywhere he went. He added value, and he chose, now here's another part of marketing, in digital marketing. He chose 12 disciples or leaders to invest in. He would leave the masses and call them aside and just focus on them, and he taught them, and he just poured himself into them, and he worked through them. And again, there's that gives us a picture, a template, if you will, of what marketing is really all about. It's getting people's attention, becoming famous, so to speak, in a way. Getting our reputation out there, that people know that we're an expert in the field. It's then getting this following that we generate, and then it's highlighting and specifically closing in on the leaders, or maybe those that are ready to join us, okay, and become associates or become home buyers or whatever the case might be. See, there's a method to all of this, and Jesus was a master of this. And he would leave the masses and focus on his disciples and teach them. And, we talk about that a lot, about the need to get people around the fire and keep them there. But he had a great plan. He was a planner. He had everything was thought out. Methodically prayed about everywhere he went, everything that he did. He would go and be alone so he could spend time just praying and thinking, where should I go next? What does the Father want me to do? Where am I to go? How am I to go about doing things? Very methodical in that. And number 3, he was the world's greatest closer. He was an expert closer. He knew what he was doing and saying, so much so, and he was so passionate about it and extremely energetic about his cause. He never stopped. This guy gave his whole life. At 12 years old, he started teaching, and he was an expert at what he did, and he worked so hard and so diligently that his life, he left us at a young age, 33 years old, okay, because he gave his entire life to his cause. He always had in his marketing plan a call to action. He told his disciples, okay, go ye into all the world and preach the good news. Go and do likewise. Repent. In other words, change your way of thinking. And, he would tell people what he wanted them to do. Okay. There was a call to action that applies to you and I when we're doing digital marketing. And people everywhere, including today, trust him and still believe in him to this very day. As a result, he continues even to this day to close on his message and get new followers. I cannot think of a better role model for you and I to follow and to learn from than the master himself, okay, Jesus Christ. And I just love what he laid out there for us. And number 4, he trained his disciples to go and do the same as he did. We call it the Great Commission. The call to action is very clear. Go into all the world and preach the good news. And what was the good news? That the kingdom of heaven has arrived. So, it's a great message. It's going to fall on good soil. It's not going to fall, always on good soil. But if we keep doing it day in and day out, the ratio equation comes into play, and the seed that you plant will fall on good soil, and it will bring forth a harvest, some 10-fold, some 30-fold, some even 60 or 100-fold. Okay, and not only that, as part of his protocol was teaching. So he gave his disciples. The Bible says in Matthew chapter 5 that Jesus, when he saw the multitudes, went up on a mountain, and when he was seated, his disciples came to him, and he taught them, saying, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven." He went on to teach them. So he got away from the masses, the crowd, and he went up and taught his disciples, And so he was very purposeful and intentional in his sales funnel, if you will. So his message was simple, and that's something that you and I can glean to. Believe in me, believe in me, and you shall have eternal life. And the message is so simple, and people resonate to that message even today because it is simple. Now, religion really screws it up. You know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, we make it so difficult, and it's not to be about religion. You know, Jesus came; he was the fulfillment of the law to get rid of all the ceremonial laws and the things that were hindering that these, teachers that were the Sadducees and Pharisees that were teaching people. It was actually keeping people away from God. God's about relationship. He had a simple message: believe in me, and you shall have eternal life. You shall be with me today in paradise. He even said to the thief on the cross. So his method is simple: go and do likewise, and his results are unmatched and unparalleled. So I can't think of anybody greater to learn from than Jesus Christ and him alone. So those 4 steps to creating a sales funnel, here they are. Create a stir ad. Okay, so when we're creating a sales funnel, and again, a funnel, we talked about this last week, but a funnel is this process. It's the process of we'll call it the easy process. We'll look at it in a minute. But it's the process of creating and engaging people with this, an ad that stirs them up. Then it's the process of asking them questions. And when we ask them questions, we learn more about them. So we're building relationship. Now we know how to answer them. We know what makes them tick. We know, what maybe to share with them next, and now we're starting to create a following, and we're creating a following because we're stirring them up with these creative ads, and by the way, you guys are on this call right now. I'm stirring things up here at philhome.org, right? So it's intentional. I'm coming in here. What am I doing? I'm coming in here and I'm stirring things up, and I'm doing it for a good reason, because that's what I'm being called to do. I want to get your attention. Here's why: because I want you to be successful. That's my goal, is to help other people spiritually, physically, and financially restore that was lost or stolen. And I want you to be successful. So I'm intentionally stirring things up. So, give them what did Jesus do? He went out, he healed them. He continued to add value into their lives. And in our case, you want to give them their solution, stir them up, get their attention, ask them questions, learn more about them, figure out a way to engage them like they want to be engaged, okay? And then give them the solution that your opportunity here from philhome.org has that will help them overcome or become who they want to become. That's the funnel process that we're talking about here. And then keep them, that's another part of our funnel process, is to keep them around the fire, to keep them as part of our team, and to equip them to go out and do the same thing that you and I are doing. That's a funnel. That's what a sales funnel is. And that's why I say there's nothing new under the sun. Now, we got all these deceivers out there, okay? And listen, unfortunately, young people are buying into this right and left. But if you've been around any length of time, you know that probably the majority of these people that are putting these ads up on Facebook that show them sitting there in their Ferrari or in front of this on this big boat with the girls around them, whatever the case might be, and they're telling people, hey, just do this, click on here and get this product for $99 or $59 or $49, and you're going to become a millionaire just like I did. They're just deceiving people. But the reality of that is they're being very successful in what they're doing, because they're using this type of funnel, right? So, and they're using powerful tools that you and I have available today. If you understood the power of video and understood the power of, audio and video together combined, and, believe me, it's powerful. People are being led, unfortunately, in many cases astray, by the power of TV and ads and Google and, I could go on and on about the dangers of a lot of this stuff, okay? Because people are being deceived and misled and led down a very bad path and trail. But listen, why are they doing it? Why are they using it? Because it works, okay? Now, you and I have a chance to use this sales funnel, same sales funnel that Jesus used, for his glory, and we can use it for his good and for his name's sake, and to help other people. So the 4 steps, it's again, an easy way for you to remember it, that what we're talking about here today when it comes to marketing and a sales funnel is, number 1, engage. This is the easy, EASY acronym. It's number 1, engage people. How do you engage them? You have to have an ad that gets their attention, and you got to think about your audience. If I'm wanting to reach let's say the younger millennial crowd, I'm going to put an ad on there, or maybe a picture on there of a dude skateboarding, okay, or maybe a picture of somebody with a cell phone, or the newest cell phone, whatever the case might be. I'm going to attract someone that's younger with those types of images, right, or videos, or whatever the case might be. So I want to stir them up, I want to engage them, but I gotta think about, again, that's back to that thought process. How can I go about doing that? So who's the audience that I want to reach, and how do I engage them that I can get their attention? That's what I'm trying to do. And then number two, you want to ask them questions. So once you get their attention and they click that they liked your post, okay, you can go in then, and you, like on Facebook, for example, if somebody likes one of my posts, I see who they are, and I can go in and click on them and say, hey, thanks for liking my post. What do you do for a living? Where do you live? Are you interested in learning more about something? Is there something I can help you with? And I can start to ask these questions and learn more about them. And guess what? I'm starting to build a relationship with them. So this is the incredible power that we have in digital marketing, is the ability to be able to do this on a massive scale. So it's a great time to be alive if we understand the times that we're in, and if we're walking in the right path. And then give them your solution. So you got to think about that too, and you don't want to rush the process. We've got to take our time. And fortunately, that 95-5 rule comes into play in a lot of different ways. Listen, 95% of the people that you engage, if you think the herd is going to buy into what you're trying to sell them, they're on social media. They are not in the least bit interested when they go on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whatever platform that they're on, about taking out their credit card and buying what you're selling. They are not interested in that at all. So we have to understand that and be subservient to the laws that are in play when it comes to how we go about doing things. There are certain things that work, that have been proven over and throughout history, and certain things that don't. And if you're looking for a fast buck, this isn't the place for it. You got to do the hard work, and that's so true, and unfortunately, in any type of direct selling opportunity or network marketing or whatever the case might be, in building any type of successful opportunity, and that's what we're doing here, you're going to get people that are just looking for that. And I want to just let you know that, we need to be sensitive to that, and we want to lead them to discovery. Certainly, we want everyone to join us because we've got such an incredible prosperity project here at FOMOhome.org. However, at the same time, we want to be, we want to be accountable to making sure we're doing things in a proper way. I'm a pretty good, I can be an aggressive salesperson. And, I'll give you a few examples of that. I built my own network marketing company. Okay. And I also at one time I was a Mary Kay cosmetic representative, and was this close to getting a pink Cadillac. I finally had to give it up because I was married at the time, and I was attracting so many women, and it wasn't good. My wife didn't like it. Okay. But, I was pretty good at it. I learned to use some gifts and talents and abilities that I had, and I was bringing them in right and left, and I got in Primerica. I love that. I was like 22 years old when I got involved in Primerica. Still have that insurance here today. Okay. And got a lot of people that joined up in Primerica. In Montevideo, I grew up fabulous and quick organization in Montevideo. Unfortunately, when the economy collapsed, Montevideo did too. But I signed up 13 people in like the first 13 hours that I was in Montevideo. So, I was doing that with some skills that people can be easily led to things like that. That is not what we're about. We're about this. We want to engage people in a funnel that's going to build a lasting and truthful relationship where people trust us. So, but you can give them the solution to their problem, and you'll know what their problem is when you ask questions, and then you close them, and you just repeat the process. And by closing them, you want to get them to be a part of your team, a part of your organization, give them all the tools that they need. I get inundated every day with associates that don't even know who their online and it's not necessarily the associate's fault, it's the upline's fault. They came in, they heard, oh wow, I get $750 if I just tell somebody about this, and they get a grant, and that's all I got to do, and all I got to do it once a year, and then just tell a bunch of people, and I get a bunch of people on my downline, and I could be making all this money, and man, they see that calculator with the opportunity, and boy, that stuff sounds so great, and believe me, it works, right? But the downside is if that's all that you're doing, and that's all you're reaching, you're not going to be successful. You're going to get a bunch of people in your organization. Now, if you keep doing it, over and over and over again, eventually with the 95-5 rule, you're going to get enough, people with the ratio equation that are you're going to start getting some money coming in. Okay, so you don't quit. Okay, but just use efficacy. That's the rule. That's the word. Use total efficacy in everything that you're doing, and you'll be successful. Okay, so that's the end of what I wanted to share with you today, and I'm going to pick up on this next week on some more practical terms.
Please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, and remember to hit the notification bell to stay tuned for more important content, our ongoing success, and the happy stories of our down payment assistance recipients.